of his first year at the club, and Paul showed me the slides and he just thought he'd quickly talk through them before we then sit down and have a bit of a chat about 23-24 and then move on to looking ahead to the forthcoming season, which remarkably is nearly upon us. So over to you, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Caddis.
Good evening, everyone. Obviously, thanks for coming. As the chairman just mentioned there, Pat put this together. Pat put this together at the end of last season, so we'll just go through it till who's pressing the me? I think that's relevant as well. A season review, a club repair. You'll see on the slides, it's not having a go at previous regimes or anything like that. It's just the facts of where we were as a football club before we came in. So when we took over, we were 6 points off relegation, league attendance average of 1664, FA Trophy second round exit. It's been well documented there was less than 5,000 in the reserves. Obviously people are not happy at this football club when you finish in that position, and the one thing I've seen when I came to one of the games, it was Bradford Park Avenue at the back end of the previous season. There was a disconnection between the pitch and the stands, and actually I had mentioned it to the chairman that I just felt as if the supporters needed something to get behind and they couldn't quite do it, so that's the reason the disconnect from the community.
You'll say next slide, please.
Next slide, please. Fan support at an all-time low. We had no squad. That was obviously down to partly my decision, but obviously to do with finances as well. And hopes were depleting, to be brutally honest. I'm not a social media user, but I've got people that will continuously tell me all the negative things that are on it, so hopes were depleting. Obviously, if you go next slide, please. And then we came in, we had this, I don't know why he's picked that photo apart. And actually there's some tweets, that one I think is Chris Ammonds, that's Jamie Griffiths, Adam Rooney, and I think the top one's my wife. But no, seriously, when we came in, I was under no illusions. I know people wouldn't have a clue who I was. People would have been wanting an experienced manager. Obviously the club was in a bit of a dire strait, to be honest. So that's just some things that were put to us, and obviously Pat's went and done the research on that. I'm finished with that one, Chris. With one senior player on the books, Mark Derricott, who's still here with us. We had no staff. When I walked into the job, it was me and no one else, so we had to go and find all new staff. And as you said, there was mixed fans' opinions. Some were like, give us a chance, some were, shouldn't be here, we're looking for someone more experienced. But to be honest, as a footballer, you get that throughout the full career, so I don't mind stuff like that. I like that pressure, I like that underdog mentality. So I just embraced it, and we went from there. Oops. Club record high, 69 points. There'll be people that are probably more clued up in me than this, but Adam really tells me that 69 points, I think probably 5 of the last 7 years has actually made playoffs. So to be on 74 points this year to make playoffs was a ridiculously high level. Club high, record high average league attendance of 2,800, which is remarkable if you think of the season before was 1,600, 1,664 to be precise. So you're looking at another 1,100 on top of that, which is remarkable, and it's just down to you, that's not down to us. This is why we've put this together, it's to show that the community's coming back together, the fans are coming back, and it's down to everyone. It's not down to me, it's not down to the players, it's down to the football club, so I think we all deserve a bit of credit. Fans back on side, supporting the club, and there's optimism. I've started feeling it probably just after Christmas, and obviously I stayed in the Green Dragon Hotel on a Thursday and Friday night, and just walking through the town and speaking to people, there's people are telling me, again, I said when I came in, I didn't know anything about the football club previously, and I'm not going to sit here and, there's no kids in here, bullshit people, and tell you that I knew everything about the history of the club, because I didn't. So supporters are telling me it was it's been negative, it's not been great, I'm not coming back, this, that and the other. And then after, as I said, after Christmas we started to pick up a bit and the community started a bit more positive, the place was a bit more positive. I'm hearing from the chairman and Jamie and Nick and people at the football club that are starting to recognise faces that they've not seen for 3-4 years at the football club. So all that optimism's brilliant for us, and I think everyone, again, this isn't down to me, it's not down to the players, it's down to the football club as a whole. So just on reflection, 55, the season 22-23, 55 points, 16th, 6 points from relegation, highest league attendance 3,240, lowest league attendance 1,100, average league attendance as I've mentioned. And you fast forward a year, 69 points, 11th, 5 points from promotion, our highest league attendance, by the way, which is ridiculous for this level. 4,500 is unbelievable for this level. I think everyone deserves a whole lot of credit for that. I think the last game of the season we had more supporters than some League 2 clubs at home, which again is remarkable, and that's a massive credit to you. Lowest league attendance 1,742, which is expected. That was a Tuesday night game, so we understand that kids are at school, parents are working the next day, etc. So that's remarkably good as well. Average league attendance 2,800. Hereford FC in the 22-23 season, one of the things I mentioned when I got interviewed for the job was the club lacked, in my opinion, the playing squad lacked character, and I was right because the proof's in the pudding, to be brutally honest. The club came from behind in a losing position to draw 3 times and win no games, so they won 3 points from losing position. Fast forward, Hereford FC were ahead and failed to win a total of 8 times. So they were ahead in the game and didn't win 8 of them. Fast forward to the season we've just had, Hereford FC came behind from a losing position to draw 4 times and win 6 games. We made 22 points from losing positions. Alright, again, not just down to me, not down to players. If you remember Spenny at home, Buxton at home, Alfreton at home, when we all come back, but that's down to the support. You don't get that without the supporters getting behind you. We went, what was it, 3-0 or 3-1 down against Alfreton, and you're still there, you still try to get behind us, we go and get the goal and then lift you again, and then we get the last minute one with skins. So that's down to everyone as a whole. It's down to us as staff, it's down to players, it's down to the backroom staff, but it's massively down to supporters, and you can't get those points without that backing, so we appreciate that. How long is this part? FA Trophy second round exit, knocked out by a team division below. With one new Hereford FC player making a senior appearance outside of the County Cup, approximately 2 minutes played. Anyone know who that was? No? That was season 22-23. Cam Davies, was it? Was it?
Cam, yeah. 2 minutes.
FA Trophy round 16 exit. We still blame Curtis Pond for that because he should have scored in the last second for that. But we got knocked out by the eventual winners. We took them right to the death. 2 new Hereford FC youth players making a senior appearance. Mark Derricott was started the first game of the season, and then unfortunately had a fracture in his back. And we had 4 combined appearances with Shea and Arwin as well getting on the pitch. That's some picture, Pat. So, players, coaches and management costs equated to approximately 550 grand for the 22-23 financial year. I didn't know Pat was on the board. There he is. 60% of our playing support staff. I've got to take a minute to take me and Adam out of this, and James gets paid as well. Sean, our goalie coach, Pat and Dan did not take a penny from the club last year. We done our utmost this season to make sure they get looked after, which we have now. But last year, Dan's a lifelong supporter, obviously loves the football club, will do anything for it. Pat's a young lad that's just come out of uni, wants to get himself involved in football, it gives us loads and loads of information on teams. And Sean's a friend of Rune's, who travels up and down, misses a lot of hours of work, and puts a lot of time and effort into obviously the goalkeeping department. So we're hugely appreciative of that, because I'm sure everyone understands at the moment life's shit, to be honest. There's people going through all sorts. We're obviously still in a mad recession or whatever you want to call it these days. But so it's massive credit to them. It's massive thanks from me and Adam, and also James as a paid staff member as well. So as I said, we've managed to find a way of rewarding them this year, which we're really pleased with. Fan involvement and engagement is skyrocketed. We've got events like this. For example, tomorrow, I'm sure everyone's aware, we've tried to bring a training session back to the town. I think it's important, back to the city, sorry. I think it's important to try and, obviously we spend a lot of time away from the football club because that's where we train in Studley, but just if we can do something like that to try and bring the community back together, then it's no really a big deal, to be honest. I don't think there's any excuse for not being able to do it. Don't get me wrong, I've just went and seen the pitch and I'm regretting it. But no, like just simple things like that. People are welcome to come down and have a look and see the new players that are going to be there. There's a couple of new faces. There's obviously the faces that are still here from last year, so everyone's more than welcome to come down and get involved. And we will be leaving from Edgar Street. We'll be walking down tomorrow. We'll be walking through the town. We'll be trying to engage with people. Again, doesn't cost a penny, so there's no reason that it shouldn't be done. Fans are optimistic. They believe we could make playoffs right until the very end, despite pre-season goals of avoiding relegation. We knew when we came in it was going to be a tough task, but privately, I can now say it because we're at the end of the season. Privately, I always wanted to try and get as high up the division as we could. I've never had the relegation on my mind. We shouldn't at this football club, but we understood that the restrictions we've been under previously. But we were really proud to get to the last game of the season, still needing to win obviously about 11-0 or something, but we were still there. We were still there, we still got up and we still went again. That's down to those losing positions, going back and getting points. And the group we had last year, you seen it yourself, they never ever gave up. No matter what happened, no matter what went on in the game of football, they never gave up. They were always together, and that's again down to you because you stuck by them. There was times, I'll go back to the Alfton one, I think we went 3-0 down. I keep thinking it's 3-0 or 3-1. But you could have, at a time of the season where you look at and go, probably vital points were dropped. But you stuck with us, and we got the last minute equaliser, we got the last minute goal against Spenny. We came from behind earlier on in the season away to Chester. So yeah, we're really proud of where we finished in terms of what we had available, what we're up against, and it's all about now kicking on and trying to improve on that. This is just a picture that sums up last year, in my opinion. That's what we started with. Obviously we could put a little figure of Mark Derricott in there, but that is generally what we walked through the door with when we came in. And the next picture for me should be what this club's all about. That's what we finished with. That's what we finished with compared to what we started with. The good thing is, and the most promising thing is, we're starting at that point now. That's our starting point this year. That's where we're starting this year, so we're starting in a much healthier place. Yes, there's a few faces there that won't be here, but we're not starting at ground zero. We're starting from a much better position. I'm a year into it myself. We understand the league more. I'm still learning every single day. The club's getting better every single day. There's more supporters coming through the door. Season tickets are going through the roof. There's more community events. So we're starting in a much brighter place. But again, that's down to everyone as a whole. It's down to the supporters, it's down to the board, it's down to the people that do all the work behind the scenes, it's down to the players, it's down to management, it's down to everyone. But you don't go from that picture of nothing to that picture without the help of everyone involved. So that's just a quickish recap of what we feel was good, what could have got better at, etc. and on the season we've just had.
Can we work the technology, Jay, please? Right, thanks for that, Paul. As we said when we advertised this, we thought it might just be interesting to do it in a slightly different format rather than traditional fans forum. I have to say we were here just over a year ago. I'm slightly less nervous this time than I was the last time, which I think is a good sign, so that's good. But I thought it might just be interesting to reflect a little bit on 23-24, because as Paul has covered in that presentation, and great work Pat as ever, so thank you for that. Just thought it might be interesting to have a little bit of a chat, because obviously Paul's first year in management, less interesting, but my first year as a chairman of anything, let alone a football club of this size, so just thought it'd be worth to have a chat. I think I'll open it up, and then at the end maybe we can all take some questions at the end of the first half as well, maybe. I think obviously a lot covered in that presentation, but when you walked through the door, well, we can start out when you came for your interview. Could you have kind of envisaged what's occurred over the course of the past 12 months?
No. Hello. No, to be honest, when I came for the interview, I genuinely, hand on heart, didn't think I'd stand a chance. Probably because of the what you see in those tweets. I thought the club would go for an experienced manager. I thought they'd go for someone that had either played in the league or managed in the league. So, no, I came with just an open mind and just quite relaxed and just myself. I didn't want to promise the world and pretend I was something that I wasn't. So I just came with that natural instinct of just go and be myself. And I remember getting the job. It was actually on my birthday. It was Friday the 19th of April when you called me on the way back on that horrendous back road that you never get a signal on. So yeah, I remember.
I was going to say which one then.
Yeah, I remember getting that phone call, and obviously I was absolutely. My first instinct was probably shock and surprise, and at my first job. To be honest, I'd only just retired 2 years ago, and I'd found myself not just managing a football club, but managing, and this term gets used a lot, it's like proper football club with proper stadium, proper supporters, and a level that I didn't know loads about. I knew a bit about, but I didn't know loads about. So straight away I thought, Jesus, they've took a massive risk there. No, but I was obviously delighted. I went back and from that day I've never looked back. I went back and obviously told my wife and kids, and now I was just really excited. Then literally on the Saturday it was all about, right, let's go and look at the squad, let's go and look at opponents, let's go and look at players that we could get, try and speak to people that know loads and loads about the league, which I'd already done beforehand, but now in a more detailed way because I'd been given the job.
Yeah, we can go into it in more detail, but when you sort of reflect on the first year, has it been anything like you expected it to be? Has it been a manager been very different? How has it been almost? Because you said you had ambitions to go in management, so you must have been seeing it in a certain way. How has it turned out so far?
Yeah, I always had ambitions, but I'd never done it, so I never knew what the behind the scenes. I knew what it was, but not to the detail it did. Like, I didn't know I'd have to. For example, one of the first weeks I spoke to Matt Healy about the music that was going to get played through the canoid, and I'm like, I didn't know that was part of my job description, but do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that you...
Did you choose the Proclaimers, did you?
Yeah, I think I did. I wanted Flower of Scotland, but it wouldn't let me. But no, honestly, the more stuff that got landed with, you think, well, that's what we're here for now, just got on with it, and I tried to just get on with as much as I possibly could. But I like that. I've been captain at all the football clubs I've played at, well, after Celtic. So I like that responsibility, I like that pressure, I like to do things my own way, and I like to, if I'm going to be successful, it's through the way I believe it's got to be done. If I'm going to be unsuccessful, then it's something that I can deal with, because I've done it my way, and I've not had to try and take guidance from loads of other people, and it's been a brilliant year, and it's been a brilliant learning year. There's been a lot that I could be managing in 20 years' time and I'll still be learning. That's the beauty of the football. Like, I've never switched off to thinking that I know everything, because be honest, I don't know enough. You constantly learn every day. There's the thing I probably enjoy the most, believe it or not, is the travelling. I'm travelling after games when I'm going back home. That's my time to. My wife and kids are travelling in a different car and I'm in mine, and I just reflect on everything. Right, did I make the right subs? Did I pick the right team? Why was the referee a twat? Do you know what I mean? I just go through everything in my head of, did I make the right decision? Should I have played him? Was he fit enough to play? So I'm just constantly learning, I'm constantly testing myself. But I've got to say, Adam Rooney's been a brilliant sounding board as well, as much as he's been getting involved in the football. But he knows a lot about the league, he knows a lot of contacts and stuff like that. So we've been a good team, and I've really enjoyed it.
I remember one of the, still sticks in my mind, and that is that the Kings Lynn obviously away, the opening game, and we talked quite a bit obviously pre-season. You'd always said that you didn't get very nervous, you weren't particularly nervous as a player, and I remember standing after the game at Kings Lynn, and it was a fair ding-dong for the opening game of the season, but I remember saying to you, how were the nerves? And you said that you were probably as nervous that day as you've been in your entire career.
Yeah, 100%. That's probably the day it sunk in, and I thought, yeah, this is on me here. Like, as a player, you've got 17 other players in the squad, you've got an 18-man squad, and it's a shared responsibility, but that's the day it sunk in. I thought, well, everything falls on me. And that's the thing about management, and when you win, everyone always told me when you win it's brilliant for an hour, when you lose it's horrendous for weeks, and that's right, it genuinely is. I'll go, even when we win, when I drive back home, I'm still thinking of what could we have done better, how could we have won by scoring more goals, how could we have conceded less, and then when you lose, your mind's all over the place. It's such a lonely place, it genuinely is. And I remember, if we fast forward to Tamworth, I remember there the last 10-15 minutes, I'm standing on the touchline and we're obviously getting beat up, we're getting beat 4-0, and I remember Runes coming up to me and just saying to me, like, are you alright? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But we could see the anger, and really so, in the supporters' faces. We could see there was people singing for us to get sacked, and I think that's when Runes had kind of came up to see if I was alright, but just being that perfect assistant manager, and he said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go and stand over in front of the players and just take it, which I did, because it was my responsibility. I put the players on the pitch, and that was a tough day, it genuinely was, and I spoke to you after it as well, and yeah, that's been the lowest point, especially, I think we're only in the job for 3-4 months, and that's when you get a defeat like that, you're expected to get abuse and stuff like that, and negativity, and we got a fair share where we should have been sacked and stuff like that, and that's fine, that's football, but I still believe that that's part of learning and that's part of growing.
You made the grave error of getting 7 points out of the first 9, didn't you? And that kind of those results then came a long time. How did you then, after the Tamworth game, you're right, we did have quite a lengthy chat, didn't we, after that game, just to talk it through and stuff. How did you then go about sort of boosting yourself or rebuilding yourself ahead of the fixtures that came? Because obviously at that point in time, as you say, the pressure was building, as is the game, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what I've done, to be honest. No, I went home and I tried to go and tap into people who've been through those experiences. I spoke to Gordon Strachan, I spoke to Gary Rowett, I spoke to Richie Welland, I spoke to Gary Boyer. Just tried to go through all the managers I've worked under, and I remember Gary Rowett telling me, so I was messaging a lot of them back and forth, and Gary Rowett had called me and he said, as soon as you walk in the door, close the door, put your phone in the drawer, and just go and spend time with your family, because it's not their fault. So, and that's exactly what I did. So for the next couple of days, I just tried to, it's difficult to put it at the back of your mind, but I just went home and tried to spend a bit of time with the family and just switch off a little bit, and then you just need that probably 24 hours to reset, and then once you get back up the Monday morning, it's like, right, well, tough shit has happened, let's get on with it, let's go, and it's my job now as a manager to go and try and pick the players up, pick the supporters up, and the only way you can do that is by winning games of football. So we just tried to come back in the Tuesday and have a vibrant atmosphere, try and get the boys going and try and get the place going, and hopefully we've done that, and I think we did, because results, they kind of differed a little bit for the first couple of months after that, but we picked up in the end.
Did anything surprise you about National League North football, you know, after those first few games? Did it, you know, the standard, the individual, the players, the football in general, was it what you'd expected, or was it very, I know you had rooms to kind of, you obviously got a good insight, but was it different? Did you have to almost change your thinking a little bit at all, or did you just carry on?
No, I thought the standard was decent enough, to be honest. I knew there was some really good teams, and I knew there was some not so good teams, but it surprised me how often each team beats each other, if you know what I mean. It's like, there's no, I know I just said there's some teams that aren't as good as others, which is natural in football and in leagues, but you couldn't just go away to Farsley and expect to win. You couldn't just go away to teams that are down in Russia and go and win because they've just come up, or whatever it may be. So still learning on that side as well. It's a really, really difficult league. Listen, we all know about the way the league's going financially, and the way that people are going full time, and what we're up against, and so we're dealing with those challenges every single day and every single season. But we're embracing it, we're enjoying it. We will continue to make mistakes. There's no two ways about it. I'm not going to sit here and, as I said earlier, bullshit people and say we won't make mistakes, but we'll be judged on the amount of mistakes we make, and if the least amount of mistakes we make, then we're bound to be successful.
Obviously you're a football manager, you're never going to be happy with your squad and what you've got on that, but was there a point in the season where you began to feel a little bit more, actually we can cope now, you know, we can cope now, we've got a squad of a bit more depth that is going to give us more of a chance?
Yeah, probably after Christmas, when we got, I think the first time we got Willow and Kills on the pitch as starters was Gloucester at home, I think. I might be wrong there, but yeah, that was another thing I had to deal with, and that's another thing I asked all the managers I worked under, like, how do you deal with injuries? I'd never done it before. I'm like, how can this be possible? We've signed 2 strikers that would arguably score a lot of goals in the league. We've lost both of them. We've then had to, with all due respect, Runes come in and played, who, that was never the plan, but had to just come in and do a job for us. So that was difficult, because you just feel as if everything was going against you, and I'm thinking, this is my first job as manager, surely I need a bit of a break, but tough, we just have to get on with it. That was life. We tried to bring players in, which we probably got wrong at times, but I felt as if after Christmas that we started getting players back and consistently fit, and I thought we had a bit more better depth there than the start of the season.
And in terms of the recruitment, and when you were obviously at the very start, it was a complete blank canvas. How did your kind of way you went about it, did it develop, or did you continue to have a very set way of going about it? Or were you able to probably shop a little bit higher after Christmas potentially, and obviously by then the club was getting sort of back on an even keel? Did your recruitment, was it as you expected? Did you find it difficult?
Well, after Christmas, you know,
just generally, really.
Yeah, initially to start with, it was just try and get players on with a bit of character who are going to run through a brick wall for the club. So it was going and spending a lot of time with people, trying to understand them, trying to get to know them as quickly as I possibly could, which is difficult. Going meeting people in hotels in Manchester and Birmingham and wherever it may be, and try to sit down and just try and pick their brains, and then after that you go and do some homework on them. You go and find out people that have played with them, people that have managed them. You then try and find out what their personal life is like, if you possibly can, if they had problems in the past, and I'll try and go as detailed as I possibly can without being creepy. I'll try and find out what their family's like, and you just try and do as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, I want to be successful as a manager, so the more I put into players, then the more success I can bring. But then after Christmas, I openly admitted this to the staff and to Runes. I brought too many players in too quickly after Christmas. That's something I'll learn. We brought in, because we were in a better place financially. We'd obviously done well in the cups, and I felt as if we just needed more depth, and it didn't particularly work. We brought players in that we thought could do well for us, and it didn't work out. So that's something that I'll need to learn on as well. But that's maybe just me being overcritical. The players could have very easily came in and been a massive success. So, but I'll always look at what I've done before, what others will do.
I'll open it up to some questions actually, and then we can maybe have a break and then talk about, sort of look forward a bit more. But what would you say has surprised you most about your first season in management? I should have warned you, shouldn't I?
Yeah, probably how lonely it is when you lose. Trust me, I take so much responsibility when we lose, and I'll go home and I'll think about it, and that's probably the thing that I've learned the most. Like, it's horrible losing games of football. I hated it as a player, but as a player you go home, you're disappointed, but again, it's a shared responsibility. So when you're coming back in, when you're full time, you come back in on the Monday and the manager's pissed off. He's pissed off with a group of players, but I've got 2,800 average fans pissed off with me. So it's like trying to get over that, if you know what I mean. And that's, again, that'll come through learning and through losing games of football, which is unfortunately part of the game. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I've probably learned, but it's the biggest thing I've not enjoyed. But that's why I'm sitting here and I'm a manager. I've decided to take that on board, and it's part of the job.
Does anybody want to ask a question on the reflecting back part of this before we might get a break and get a drink, because it's quite warm in here, and then we can start looking forward? Anybody got any questions about what's gone on?
Having learned from last season then, are you looking for a different type of player this season than you were at the start of last season?
Not a different type, no. I'll always go for players that there's something I've got it up on the dressing room. It's character, hard work, desire. You don't have, you've got to have all three to play under us. That's the way we work. We will try and recruit better in different areas, if that makes sense. We know that. Listen, I'm not silly. I know we needed a big, dominant central midfielder. Easier said than done. We would love. I'll tell you, at the start of last season, before he retired, we tried to get. I played with him. I don't know his first. I can't say his first name. Diagaraga, that was here. Tamani. Yeah, Toombs. I just call him Toombs. That's all I know, man. We tried to get him in. He's a big, dominant player, but in Toombs we were really close to, but didn't decide. He got an offer to go full time as a Middlesbrough coach, so he's went in there. But we recognise that's what we need. But again, it's easier said than done. There's no point just going and getting a big lamppost to come in and play in the middle of the pitch. We need someone that's going to be able to run and physically compete. And we think we've got that with someone we signed this year and that we can't announce, which probably everyone will start asking who now. But we think we've got someone that's technically and physically able. How do you know that? It's all over Birmingham Mail, that's why.
Yeah.
No,
We agreed no comments to that question, didn't we? Anybody else got any questions again, reflecting back? And if not, we'll just have a little break and then everybody can recharge their glasses. I'm quite fancy a pint myself, actually. So, any further questions?
Billy's got one.
What I will say is, you think he's animated slightly down on the touchline. You want to sit behind him when he's not allowed to sit on the touchline. I tell you what, he's a damn sight worse.
Yeah.
That's because he had to sit by you, Rob. He learned quite quickly, didn't he? When he kicked that ball away at Kings Lynn the first, I thought this is going to be a long season. I thought poor old Nick Marsh is going to be busy in the secretary's seat, isn't he, this year?
To be fair, we got an apology for 3 of the 5 yellow cards I got, so it should have been one.
Did you tell him all that you got the one yellow card was for a messy, was it? For
a messy dugout, that's what I got booked for, and that's what I get suspended for. I don't mean mess as in like there was bits snattling about, it's because the players were standing up and staff were standing up and I got booked for it. So, and I ended up missing probably the biggest game would have been the biggest game of my managerial career when we played Gillingham, but anyway, it was Rince's fault because he took that game.
I like the way you turned around and said, I with Charles on that one.
Any other questions?
I looked at you and said, I'm with Charles.
Yeah, that's why we lost.
Any further questions on this part before we have a bit of a break?
In terms of character, what players surprise you the most?
From the squad just there?
Yeah.
That's a good question. In fact, can I put it back on you? Because I don't know the answer.
I'd say Skins personally.
Skins, yeah, Skins was. I'm not surprised because I knew people that had played with Skins. In fact, I'll tell you what, do you know who surprised me massively? Kyle Hawkins. Kyle Hawkins hadn't kicked a football in 2 years. When he came in with us, he had basically, he'd done his ACL. And then he went off that game against Tamworth and we're thinking, right, is he struggling here? But what he done to get through every single game, as you probably see, you can't see his knee because it's covered in tape. It's cost the club a fortune. But Kyle Hawkins, maybe not so much his character, but his mental strength's been amazing. It's been inspiring for us, and actually we had a meeting last night at the training ground, and I'd mentioned that to the new players, like, you've got to live up to what we need at this football club. You've got, and I mentioned Kyle Hawkins, with his character, hadn't played for 2 years and came in and he found a way every single week to be available, and I think the longer the season went on, the better he was. Personally, I thought he was really good.
Any more for any more? One over there.
Lasana Mendes went back to Bala, so he's went back to Bala. Yeah, we tried to get Lasana back. We offered him a contract like we did with the majority of the players. To try and to give you an insight of it, I'll be honest, we tried to make the budget as long as we possibly could by sort of changing the pay structure to a certain extent. So Lass was one that fell under that category and couldn't. And I understand she's coming from Manchester, so he decided to go back to Bala, who only train once a week, I believe.
Excellent. Well, if that's, we'll have a little break at that point, and people can go and get a pint, and then we'll probably give it 15 minutes. And don't forget Smiley John Sadler and the shop over there, and I think there are raffle tickets as well. If you can join in those, that would be great. Thank you.
Why in that?
Again, a couple of years back,
In the pre-season, we have a number.
Oh, the sheet have the number. I don't know who's wearing what number.
That's a different problem. Yeah. That's always part of the fun. When they pick us out of the play.
So do you know anything of Broken Wall? He's a centre back.
As they fall, then I'm stiff. That's what you get when you don't get hands like that.
What would you think when we were talking? We were looking at one
Right, ladies and gentlemen, if those of you that were sat would like to take a seat, that would be perfect. We'll revert to a more traditional fans forum type scenario now, I think, if that's okay. Obviously, I'm more than happy for all the questions to be directed to Paul, but if there are any for me, I will endeavour to answer them too. So I'll open the... Jamie, do you want to... Is Jamie here? I think Jamie was going to be the runner with the microphone. Part of your pre-season, Jay, this. Right, who would like to ask the first question? Is it Hans? He's been waiting to ask this question for a while, I think. Look out.
Thank you very much. Good evening, gents. Alwyn Welby. I'm not Welsh, so I can't pronounce his name. Alwyn Welby. Obviously, he's living his best life this summer with the Bayern Munich European thing. Have the club got his registration? Would we be entitled to any sort of compensation if he did go elsewhere?
I'll answer this question first. I went to the National League AGM a couple of weeks ago at Celtic Manor. There's an issue at our level with under-18 players, which is that you basically can't sign them to a contract, and there is no protection for you if you do. So in some ways you could argue that at our level there isn't actually any value in bringing your own players through, because up until they turn 18 someone could just walk in and take them for nothing. Obviously we all appreciate Arwyn's talent. I know Paul does, and he's done well for us when he's played, but there are talks going on at National League level about how clubs can be protected, because it's patently unfair, isn't it, that you could have a full youth system, but up until the age of 18 you've got absolutely no protection at all. So I'm not involved in the football side of things, but obviously with a player like Arwyn, or without talking specifically about anyone of that potential, we've got no protection up until their 18th birthday. We can't offer them a contract and get them to sign a contract to give us any effort at compensation. I think one of the arguments is, I think football league clubs have to have an academy. If suddenly clubs at our level could start offering contracts to players to under 18s, they turn around and go, well, what's the value in us having an academy then, because those clubs aren't doing that but can still be protected. So I think it's a bigger debate than one just for us, to be honest. So I know there can be a bit of confusion around that, but that is the situation with us. We couldn't give a contract to a 16 or 17-year-old at our level in the pyramid, sadly.
So just on that basis, everyone in the room, or Hereford fans, always look back, or watching Jared Bowen playing for England and thinking it's criminal that the previous club didn't get a bean out of that, because the way it all unfolded. So if that had happened 2 years ago, we wouldn't have got a bean even if we were in the National League then, would we? I'm
going to be honest, I genuinely don't know whether it was different. It may have been different back then. I don't know what the situation was, but that's right. To be honest, I can obviously only occupy myself with the here and now, and I don't know whether there was anything different back then, but I can't even remember Was Jared 17 when he went from here, or and he had obviously been in a youth programme longer, but I don't know how it worked back then. But you know, right here, in the here and now, we don't have protection. It's one of those things that if you were a club at our level, you'd probably not play a potential England international 17-year-old, will he, until he's 18 to try and keep him under wraps, really. But it seems a bit ridiculous, really, doesn't it?
Question for Paul. Have we seen the back of Jordan Lydon, or has he taken up the option to come in for pre-season training?
Jordan Lydon came in Thursday night, done a session with us, so we'll keep on that first pre-season.
Gary?
Well, the biggest question then is who's here, who's not, who's gone where, and why?
Well, Lasana Mendes is gone, Nathan Cameron's gone, Curtis Pond's gone, PD's gone, Ollie Southern's gone, Cece's gone, well, Cece's gone, trying to get up. I'll go through them. Lasses went to Bala, Paul Downs also went to Caddis. All of a sudden, Southern can't commit due to an issue with the family business that needs to spend more time at home. Nathan Cameron is looking at other options. We've moved on from that. Curtis Pons went back to his old club, Chasetown. Cece is trying to get abroad. He wants to play football abroad. I still speak to Cece. At the moment, he's still looking at options abroad. Whether he'll get enough to take him and his family, I don't know, but that's nothing to do with me. So, I think, is that us? Topi's looking at other options. We've moved on with that one. We gave the players a respectful amount of time when we offered them deals, and we shouldn't be a club that has to hang off and wait for players, so we've moved on.
Evening, gents. Have you decided to be club captain?
No. Genuinely no, I've not. We're still a couple of bodies short, so we might end up bringing someone in that could be a club captain, but at the moment we haven't decided. There's obviously experienced players, there's some players that are more vocal than others. Depends what you're looking for in a captain. Do we go for someone that's going to be vocal? And I've got to say, Nathan Cameron was an excellent captain. He was very good with people, he was very good behind the scenes. He gave people a kick up the arse when they had to. So we're going to have to find another captain. Nathan Cameron's not going to beat the club, so we're still looking for more players. Once we get some more players in, then we will obviously have to sit down and make a decision.
How's the market been this summer in terms of shopping for players? I know the answer to this question, but I thought I'd ask it anyway.
How long have you got? The market is ridiculous, and I'll be brutally honest with you. It's at a level where, speaking to managers that have been at this level for a long time, I've never seen it at. We're facing a division with probably more full-time teams than it's ever been in it. There's hybrid teams. There's clubs that have got a man, so to speak, that comes and puts loads of money in. We've got, I think Chorley are going full-time next year. You see Buxton going full-time this year. And I'll be honest, it's frustrating when you look at those clubs and you think, how the hell are they doing it? But it is what it is. We are shopping, and I keep saying it, and I try not to be negative about it. I'm trying to be realistic about it. We are shopping in a market that's really tough. And that's why I think the players that have decided to come and the players that have stayed have had far superior offers elsewhere, so I think they deserve a lot of credit. The lads that have stayed from last year have had the amount of weeks they're paid reduced, so again, credit to them for committing to, first and foremost, committing to me. I've got a lot of respect for them for doing that, and obviously committing to the football club. But the market's wild. there's no two ways about it, it's wild. There's only so much. In part-time football, players want money. I'm not going to brush it up. Players want money. If they can go somewhere closer to home for an extra 50 quid a week, they'll do it. That's the be-all and end-all. We're not in a market to go and compete with some Step 3 clubs, some mental Step 4 clubs, and that's me being honest, but we've got something that no one else has. We've got a supporter group that are stronger than any other club outside League 2, in my opinion. We've got a brilliant fan base. We've got supporters that will travel hundreds of miles to back the club. We believe we're building something hopefully positive at the football club. We're bringing the community back together. So that's my points to players when I try and sign them. So that can work for players that are maybe between the age of 21 and 24, 25 who don't have kids at home and another job, so it's can go and get another job and stuff like that. But it's when you look at players that are maybe a bit more experienced that have just come out of the EFL, or players that are 28, 29 have got 2 kids at home, that extra 100 quid a week genuinely makes a lot of difference. I'm sure everyone understands that. That's the difference between getting your kids, I don't know, an upgrade on a computer, whatever it may be, a PlayStation 5, whatever it may be that kids play these days. So it does make a difference, and I will never ever criticise a player that will come back to me and say, no, I can get more money elsewhere. And I'll shake their hand and I'll look them in the eye and go, fine, you don't get it here, but if you want to play at a football club under what we feel is a brilliant environment, it's something we created. For example, we had Adam Livingston, Jack Tolley, Jordan Lydon's obviously back in training. We've had a couple other lads contact us asking if they can come in and train to keep fit. So we've clearly created a really positive environment, and if people don't want to come to it, then it's them that's missing out, in my opinion.
What I was going to say.
What's the size of the squad at the moment?
We've got 15 at the moment.
15?
15 at the moment, yeah, but that's including Adam Rooney, so I don't know if you want to include him on that.
I was just going to add, obviously, from the financial perspective, some of the money, Paul talks to me about what players are being offered, etc. Actually, we could be really rash and stupid with the money that we've got and still not afford some of these players. That's how much people are being offered. We could just make some really irrational decisions about the future of this club and still not be able to afford some of the money that's being paid. So it is madness. I mean, it blew my mind last year with no experience of ever being involved in negotiations. But again, this summer just seems to be another level, really. And we don't have individuals who can just put their hand in a pocket and flow a few pounds through the club to help bring somebody in. It's just not how we are and how we would operate. I wouldn't want us to be like that, to be honest with you. So I'm at ease with it, as much as it can be frustrating when you can see there's a player that you'd like. I'm at ease with it, really, because we have to act in the right way for this football club.
How did you hear about Che Tilt playing a couple of levels below? Is it someone, do you know yourself?
Che's someone that we know about. The thing with, as I spoke about, I don't want to get into details, it's not fair on the individual in terms of contractual and money and stuff like that. We've changed the pay structure, so therefore players will be paid less weeks this season. So Che's a player that we had the intention of bringing in and having a look. Basically, we signed him because we wanted to secure him to get a look at him, because we knew there was a lot of interest in him. So he's not costing us fortunes. He's coming in pre-season, and I'll be honest with you, he's been amazing in training. His work ethic, his quality. Some players just fall through the levels. Sometimes they just need either a manager or a football club just to pick them back up again. Che was at QPR 4 years ago, so he's not a rubbish player. He's just probably need an arm around the shoulder, and I think that's one of my strong points. Just working with people. I'm a big believer in tap into the person before you tap into the player. If you like me, you'll give me more. If you hate me, you'll think, sod that. Do you know what I mean? It's just. But what we do is we put a structure in at the training sessions and at the club that you can't follow that structure. You follow that structure, you don't come back. We'll find a way of getting rid of you. So that's the hard work and the character and the desire, and that's That's the bare minimum. And just going back on Chase, brutally honest, he's surprised us. He really has. He's done really, really well, and we're really pleased that we've got him.
Any more questions? One at the end. Brad, Rob, I'm going to go to somebody else first. We had an evening with Dave, with Rob Bullock already.
We're surprised to lose Pondy as a goalkeeper, because he's actually gone back to where he was for 10 years, and with a bit of competition he could probably have progressed a bit more this year.
Yeah, the thing that's difficult with goalkeepers is, again, we're not bemoaning, but we're working in a budget where if we can have Shea as a young goalkeeper as our second choice, then we're going to have to do it, because we might use that extra money to go and get a better striker in or a better midfielder in. But yeah, I was surprised that Pondy left, especially to go back to that level. But again, I'm not digging Pondy out, but money makes a difference in the world, and the guy that puts the money into Chase Towns' boss, as in what he does for full-time work, so he's had a better deal there, and Pondy's a brilliant guy, he's a brilliant character, he connected really well with supporters, and he's, again, I've never been pissed off with anyone that's left. I try not to get too upbeat about it, too down about it. If they don't want to be here, then fine, I'll move on. I'm not one to go chasing people. Yes, we'll try and get people to sign, and yes, we'll constantly go back to people to try and get them signed, but there comes a time where we're bigger than any player. We're a football club that have got we've got brilliant supporters. So if you don't want to be here, then fine, we'll move on, we'll go, because there's plenty out there that do want to be here, but it's just up to us to find the best ones.
Rob?
My question, can you hear this?
Hello. My question is basically, okay, you're only 2 sessions in. What do you think so far of the players coming back fitness-wise?
I've been very surprised. We gave them a tough session Tuesday, but we absolutely had a right go at them last night. Very fit, really pleased. I think in the modern day now, there's people who like to go to the gym and stuff like that to keep themselves ticking over, but they've come back really sharp, really fit. So the good thing about that is you can get onto the football side of things quicker. You don't have to concentrate on the fitness. So now that they've came back in that fitness levels, then we'll continuously work really hard, but it'll be more football structured stuff, because we don't have to just keep doing runs because they're fit. So been really impressed with the players that have integrated with the group. So we're really excited. We think that we've improved in areas that we've had to. Obviously, players have moved on and made that decision, and we're really impressed with the recruitment. We're pleased with where we're at. However, we know we are still players short.
Do you want to say a few words about some of the additions? Obviously, Monty came in. Was it the end of last week?
Yeah, Monty's one we spoke to last year. Everyone will tell you outside of football that Monty Gibson's motivated by money. It's not true. With all due respect, he wouldn't come here if he's motivated by money. He had brilliant offers. I'm talking silly money offers. He's came here because, in truth, he wants to get back up to the levels. And that's what we want. We want players to come that want to get to the next level, because if they get to the next level, it means we're doing something right. So therefore, we're doing well as a football club. Brilliant striker, brilliant, he can play off he likes to kind of float off the left. He's obviously played with Kills before, previously. That's a goal scorer, he scores goals. He is a right pest. He's one of those horrible guys that will leave his elbow when he goes up to challenge for the ball. He's just an old school forward. He looks after the ball, he's really strong, and we're really pleased with him. Cosmos is one that you probably remember when he played us here. He was really strong, really powerful. He's probably about my height, but he could jump the size of big chappie. So he's we're really pleased with his signing. He'll bring pace and power and stuff like that. You've got obviously Jay Tilt we just mentioned. Who else we signed?
You secured Lawson, didn't you?
Yeah, we got lost permanently. I thought Loss done really well for us. Just understands the game. Loss is just a good footballer. He knows when to pass it, he knows when to take a touch, he knows where to be. And then obviously we got the basketballer and Aaron Chapman. Chappie, I'll be honest, Tom Pugh sold Hereford to Chappie. Obviously I had spoken to Chappie, but Tom Pugh and Chappie are really close. And Chappie, when I was going back, sorry I keep calling Chappie, Chapman the goalkeeper, he was very keen to sign. We were very keen to have him. We managed to secure him and we're really pleased with it. He is as big as he looks as big as what it actually says on paper. To see him and Risk beside each other was some laugh, but that's coming from me. No, we're really pleased. He's a good big character. He only just won, I think he won League 2 3-4 years ago. To be honest, we spoke to the people at Boston and they wanted to sign him, but after the heroics of their goalkeeper in the playoffs, I think they felt as if they had to just go ahead and sign Gregory. So we're really pleased with Chappie. I'm sure we'll sign someone else, but I can't remember.
Campbell.
Who? Oh, Sol Campbell, the centre half. Yeah, Sol might be our captain.
I don't need to be speaking out of turn. You mentioned Tom Pugh, and I think it's probably fair to say you had an interest, didn't you, this summer?
Oh, absolutely. Tom Pugh called me daddy, and I'm not his dad, by the way. Tom Pugh loved it at this football club. He did. He loved working under us. He loved, because he felt loved. He knew the supporters really enjoyed watching him. We thought we had him. We genuinely did. I thought I had him. I was absolutely buzzing. But then he just got a better offer from Halifax to go full time, to stay closer to home and play in a higher division. And Tom's one that we might look at if he's not playing regularly in the next 3-4 months. We might, if we need a central midfielder, then we might go look at him. But yeah, we were in the market. We were very, very close. We were almost done until Halifax won it last minute.
Any more for any more?
What would get Hereford to be a full-time team, apart from the obvious money, and how would we get there and without some serious injection of dough? I don't know, the organic way.
I think you pretty much nailed it, to be perfectly honest with you. As it stands at the moment, it would be very difficult to go down that route. You know, we make every penny we possibly can available to the football side, because that's what we're here to do. But then you look at the step up to try and give people enough money to be earning a full-time wage compared to what they're earning currently, playing part-time and earning it. It's a huge leap. So I really don't know. Paul and I have talked about it before, and actually, you know, if we did manage to get out of this league, you go into a league full of non-league full-time clubs, but actually, would you go full-time straight away? Do you look at it for a year and maybe play the underdog as a part-time club in that league and give that a go first? It's very, very difficult, and because there is no more, in reality, there is not a significant amount more money available from the league, if you like, if you get promoted. So again, it's money that we've got to create ourselves, and it is very difficult. I think we've got to strive to do it and think of ways that we can get to that stage. But it would be a challenge, and it will be a challenge. But I think we at least have got ourselves to some stability now where we can actually begin to think about that better. I think over the course of the past 12 months, there have been lots of other things we needed to do first, but actually over time, hopefully, with the stability, we will be able to try and look at ways that how we might be able to make that happen, whether there's a transition to hybrid first and then a change. But at the moment, I think we're content with staying where we are in terms of the part-time setup, but we've got to be looking to improve all the time, and that would be part of the thinking.
Just here first,
one for you, Steve. So we had the retro Hereford United stuff recently. How well did that sell? Does it compare well to other merchandise? Or
It sold really well. Jamie Griffiths was giving regular updates via WhatsApp on the way it sold. Unsurprising. I mean, there were they were proper classic shirts, weren't they? So yeah, they sold really well and they were a big hit, and I don't think that would surprise anybody. We're all very romantic about the past and all got fantastic fond memories. So yeah, a really good choice of the strips that Jamie decided to go with, and they've sold really, really well, and we hope they will. And that was just the first kind of batch of them really with the special launch. So hopefully moving forward, I think there's a small stock of them going to be in the shop at some point, isn't there? Obviously there's always the online option, but we are going to stock a small amount in the shop as well that people can buy on the premises as well.
Question for Paul. What sort of style are you looking to play this year, given that the signings we've had so far have mainly been forwards? You got Willow fit, Kylie fit, Montel. Are you looking to play all three? Have you got a winger that you've signed? Are we going to be expansive at the expense of perhaps letting a few in at the back again?
He did send a WhatsApp message with his preferred formation on the other day. I was quite slightly concerned.
As it stands, we need to play one centre half, two central midfielders, and about 7 strikers. No, we want to attack. I want to attack. We are mindful that we conceded too many last year, but we didn't score enough either. So it's easy to see. If you look at some of the games we should have put to bed, so therefore when you put games to bed, naturally you don't concede because the game's out of sight. But too often, I remember the Kings Lynn one at the top of my head. I remember Topi's went through the chance, Cece's missed the penalty, you go and concede 2 really late goals. So it's a fine balance. There'll be games where all 3 will play, so Monty, Kills and Willow. There'll be games where one of them might play, there'll be games where 2 of them might play. We'll see how we go through pre-season. Some of them, look what happened last year, we lost Willow for 6 months through pre-season, so we're focusing on defenders now. To be honest, we need more defenders. Not 2 ways about it. We still want to play football in the other half. I don't want to have 3,000 passes in one half because I don't think it gets you anywhere. But I still want to play forward. We still want to get forwards on the pitch. Something I learned, like you touched on it. We conceded far too many goals last year, but we presented something to the players at the back end of last season, and we conceded 7 goals where we were played through, as in like teams played good possession football through us, our shape wasn't right. We conceded about 35 on second and third phases, and from throw-ins, long throw-ins, corners, free kicks, second and third phases. So as a manager it's difficult because I'd have rather conceded, well obviously not because I wasn't doing my job properly, but I'd have rather conceded 30 through our lack of shape, because then I can look at it and go, right, well this isn't right. But it comes to a mentality thing when it's in the box. You can't coach mentality, you've just got to have it. So that's why we added obviously when Pondy decided to move on, we looked for someone that was going to be dominant and big chap he is. So we still want to play a brand of football that excites people and tries to get people off their seat, but I'm still probably mindful of, that's maybe one of the mistakes I made last year where I had that mindset, and I wish Steve Clark had it last week actually. I had the mindset when I just feel at home when if we're drawing 1 each with 10 minutes to go, I want to make an impact to get supporters positive. Like if I go and bring another striker on, it lifts people and it lifts the supporters and stuff like that. But then you obviously leave yourself a bit open at the back, but that's maybe something I'm going to have to learn. But again, we will still try and score goals and try and get up the pitch.
It was a good watch. Last year was a good watch.
Yeah, and I understand that, and maybe that's where I have to just not being disrespectful to like support. Maybe I have to just manage the team more and think, well, we're 1 up at home with 5 minutes to go. Do we go and put an extra defender on? That's something that I'll have to look at in the game. But more often than not, I've got the mindset of why can't we go and get the second? Let's go and get the next goal. And again, it's something I'll probably have to learn. But that's just the way I am at the moment. And I was a defender, but yeah, I just think scoring goals is exciting and doing it within a structure. And we did go through a spell where we kept a lot of clean sheets, but and we looked solid when we went to the 3-5-2. It just depends on the personnel you've got. If you've got wing backs that are really attacking. We had wing backs of Skins and Huddy who are natural defenders, but if you're going to do it that way, for example, you're going to have to get wingers that can get up and down the pitch. But we're looking at everything. We're looking at different shapes, different personnels, and that's what pre-season's good for. If anyone cares to come to any of the pre-season games, we will have different teams in different shapes, different personnel playing different positions.
It's quite strange, isn't it? It's kind of, you know, spoke to Paul about it before, and clearly he wouldn't choose to fall behind in matches. But in terms of almost reinvigorating the support and getting us all back, feeling the love, if you like, for the football club, the fact that we did fall behind and get back into games, I think actually made us all feel, you know, made us get that buzz back a bit, didn't it, in fairness? So it's not, clearly wasn't a plan, I don't think, but I think it did help bring the support back a little bit. So
yeah, I just, like, at home, for example, if we're 1-0 down and say we're putting, just an example, Alfredton, and they go and bring another defender on, why shouldn't I then go and bring another striker on? That's just the way I see it. Because I think, well, they put another defender on, let's try and lift first and foremost the players. I'm bringing a striker on, right, the gaffers want to go for it, let's go and be on the front foot, let's get after people. Then you get a reaction from the supporters, because we're not just settling for them playing 10 men behind the balls, we still have four defenders. Let's go and have a go. And I would rather lose 2 and 3-0 having a go than losing 1-0 and just sitting in. Gloucester away, yeah, we just went Dumbo.
Just going back to merchandise. So I've got a 2-year-old son, and I want to get him in a Hereford strip. But if I was to buy a Hereford kit online, I think the smallest size I can get is a 5-year-old kit. So is that something you've maybe looked at? Because I can imagine any parent who's a Hereford fan, as soon as their child's born, or a grandparent, you know, for a grandchild, they just want to get them in a Hereford kit. But you can't buy. So I think you're missing a big trick there.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question actually, and I'm completely honest, but it's definitely something that we can take on board. I know Jamie, is Jamie going to?
I've mentioned it a couple of times now.
Yeah, no worries.
Lots of people that.
Yeah.
We can't get the kids, the actual kit that young, but we are getting baby grows, we've got bibs, so we are trying, but we can't get the kit that young. The baby grows should literally be here in about 2 weeks. We got bibs now, and we got like coats that go down to 3 years old. We just can't get the kits.
Thanks, Jay.
Question for, here we go, it must be my voice. Question for Paul again. We've got 15 signed on, is that right? What would you be confident numbers wise going into the season with as a full squad?
I'd like to try and get to 19, to be honest, 19, 20 players, because it would give us better depth, especially if we go through pre-season and lose some players to injuries, which might happen, that's natural. So we'd like to add at least another 4. We need more defensive reinforcements, to be honest. So yeah, probably another 4 if we can.
Question on the far side, Jay.
Pre-season friendlies.
Pre-season friendlies, yeah? Wouldn't it be beneficial for us to play the last pre-season friendly, either home or away, against a National League South side? So we're their sort of standard, and it would give us a good impression of where we are before the season starts?
Yeah, there's an argument to that, yeah, of course, but the Newport one's a brilliant challenge for us. We're playing against a team that's 2 levels above us, so if we can compete with them, then you go into the season in a constant manner. But I understand if you go in there and lose to them, but we then just, that's up to me to then pick the players back up. I totally get what you're saying, but it's easier said than done, to be honest. Trying to arrange pre-season friendlies is actually more difficult than you think. There's clubs in the National League South might not want to travel to us, we might not want to travel to them, and there's costs involved and stuff like that. So we're pleased with the pre-season friendlies we've managed to put on.
Can I ask a question for the chairman?
You may crack on.
Thank
Can you just tell me what the situation is with the expansion of the ground?
As it stands at the moment, obviously, we've got work going on at on the Blackfriars end. It's sort of a bit mythical, isn't it, the Blackfriars end, to see things being removed at that end. That work should be done in 4 to 5 weeks, Jay, is that about right? We think it's probably going to be, it might go into sort of mid to late July now because they got slightly held up. We're involved in conversations with the council about what is going to happen to replace the Blackfriars end once it's gone. The great thing is we are right in those conversations, which is brilliant from our point of view, because I think anybody with any Hereford Football Club allegiance is slightly cynical about direction of travel, slightly worried about whether we'll get left behind, whether it won't quite work out for us. At the moment, I'm really positive about the conversations I've had. We're probably attending a meeting every other week, probably with the council and with potential developers, architects, other interested parties in and around Hereford. I think there will be, again, it's difficult to specifics of time, but I think there's going to be regular news coming out through the course of the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months up towards Christmas. What we all need to acknowledge and be aware of is that isn't on our lease. We don't lease that end, it remains the council's property. I didn't realise there were so many stadium designers in the Hereford FC fan base, to be honest, when I see some of the comments online, but I think we need to be aware that it is the council's land, if you like. It'll be their project, and we have to be respectful of that. But the fantastic thing is, and I'm really positive about the fact that we are right there with them, and I think at the moment we've got a group of people there who understand the importance of this football club, and the season we've just had is really helpful in that. I think, in fairness, we had 2, 3 council representatives here on the last day of the season when we had, in some ways it was a dead rubber and we had 4,000 plus here, and I could just see they were a bit like, how many people are here? And you just sit there and it's the perfect showcase for us, really. So I think over the course of the next 3 or 4 months there's going to be news coming out quite regularly. Obviously it'll take a little bit of time because there'll be various ideas, plans and all that sort of stuff, but I think there's some really interesting things potentially being proposed. I'd like to say more sometimes, but I can't because it's not our project, if you know what I mean. But the great thing is myself, Jamie, Darren, the stadium director, are right in amongst all the conversations, and we do appear to be high priority in the whole thing, which is really pleasing.
Will that assist in making us some money other than just a bank of seats or a terrace?
That is part of it. The sort of situation is, again, it's the council's development. They've got to make their money. They've got to be able to justify the expense, and we're part of that. But from what we're hearing, there's going to be a great opportunity for, and as much as anything, one of our focuses has got to be we've got to deal with that end, and to get Forside to be back would be absolutely fantastic. But we've also got to take into account the lifespan of the Meadow end. Now, there aren't any concerns about it at the moment, but 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down, we may have to look at dealing with the Meadow end and working it out. And in some ways, I think our sort of focus can be on what we can do with that, because that potentially will be for us to deal with in our development. So there's a lot going on, and it's quite complex, but the positive thing is that we are right involved. We're not having to chase people to get us involved. We get the invite right first up straight away, which is, I don't think that's always potentially been the case in the past, so it is really pleasing.
Evening, gents. Is it frustrating, how long the fixtures are coming out? I think it's July the 10th when you see the EFL fixtures coming out, and to prepare both on and off the pitch.
I think it's always a month before.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be, but at the moment we're just concentrating on pre-season, getting players fit, and that time will come. Everyone looks forward to that time. Obviously last year we ended up with away from home first game of the season, so I don't know what everyone hopes for, but the fixtures are what they are. We just try and concentrate on the football, and when they come, they'll come.
it did feel a bit annoying when the Premier League fixtures came out and then the EFL ones. I did think, we've still got to wait for ours because you are keen to know. But as Paul said, we're kind of used to it. Really, that's just the way it is. Question on the far side.
Is that right? Like at Christmas time, you used to have like home and away, like with Gloucester and like Kinney in the past. Is that right? They're going to revert that back over like Christmas period and Easter period?
Yeah, there was a vote. A sort of vote went out to all National League clubs, both National League North, South, and the National League itself, and it was a vote on whether people wanted to retain it in the way that it was Boxing Day, New Year's Day, or whether people wanted to do, I can't exactly remember what it was, but the sort of Boxing Day and a holiday fixture and that way, and the vote went in favour of having it a Boxing Day and then Bank Holiday Monday in August, or vice versa. And so we won't have the same team twice over Christmas in the way that we have, well, for a number of years now, certainly since we've been in the National League North anyway. Yeah, it was a vote that everybody got to take part in, and obviously that was the decision that was taken.
Do we have a choice? Who
So-
we get? Do we have a choice who we get?
What you can do is you can put your preferred teams in, and obviously you hopefully have a conversation with someone who would also prefer you, so you marry up your fixtures, if that makes sense. So we should get, our obvious.
We've chose South Shields already.
Yeah. Next is local to you.
John.
We did. You can't. They don't guarantee you're going to get the team that you asked for, but if you can. But they basically say if you and the team you put forward both put each other forward, you've got every chance of getting them, and that tends to be how it works.
Because you need a second one, don't you?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Any ideas?
We always get Chester on a Tuesday night, which annoys me actually, and I think Chester get annoyed that we have them on a Tuesday night because you miss probably a good couple of hundred away supporters potentially, don't you? But we'll wait and see how it plays out. We don't know. We won't know till a couple of hours before the actual fixtures are announced on that day.
Just going back to you saying we've got 15 players signed on. How many of them are signed on for next season? Contracted?
Well, we've got contract and non-contract. We've got 11 on contract, 4 non-contract. I think we're sitting at the moment. So, yeah.
The contract, non-contract debate is one that's gone on for a long time. I think a little bit. There's clubs that have been caught out by contracting all the players at the start of the season, and then you go, hang on. So you do give yourself a bit of, I know, I'll be honest, Paul's not a fan of the contract, non-contract scenario, and he openly says that, and we talk about it quite regularly in a friendly manner. But I think from a club's point of view, it does give you that little bit of flexibility, and it's not done on players' numbers, it's not done on the number of players, it would be done on a percentage of the total budget, and I think you are, clearly the further you go into the season, you're not committed for as long, so you can show some flexibility, but certainly it can be difficult. I know there are a couple of clubs that have been really stung by putting an entire squad of 20 on contracts at the start of the season and then realising they've got 8 that are nowhere near what they needed. So it just, as a club, and given where we've come from, we feel it gives ourselves a little bit of protection in terms of that flexibility if changes do need to be made early on in the season. So that's how we work it.
Team bonding trips lined up?
Not at the moment, no. Last year we just went for some food and stuff like that in Birmingham. We will do something again, but part of the reason coming together tomorrow as well was to bring all the group together, and we're going to be here for 6-7 hours throughout the day, so it gives that opportunity for players to get to know each other again.
Didn't you have a darts night and Dan Pace bought his own darts?
Yeah, and it was rubbish. Yeah, we had a darts night at the end, just before the back end of the season. These nights are important in football, especially when you're part-time. Again, we're up against full-time teams who are going to be spending 20-30 hours together. So the quicker, and I made that point last night to the players, that the reason that the sessions are going to be so tough for the next week, 10 days, is because we're trying to catch up with full-time teams. We're doing sessions 4 times a week. We're doing it for 4 hours a week. So we're trying to make them as tough and as intense as we possibly can, but in a manner where we're not killing players and risking injury. But yeah, team bonding's massive. We had a couple of events last year where the players got together and just simple things like after games when players go into the exec club and that, they're always spending some time together, they're mixing with people, so it's something we continuously encourage.
Any further questions? Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on.
How many extra supporters would we need to go full time?
It's. I think I might have said this. I did that London Bulls podcast a little while ago. If we could, I think to give ourselves a chance, and it's a bit of a finger in the air scenario, so don't absolutely hold me to this. But if we could become a club that the core support, even in tough times, was 2,250, say, and you knew that even if we were having an absolute shocker within reason, that would be our baseline of support, then you could begin to think about it really, really carefully. The problem is, that's not the right phrase, but the crowds can drop off so quickly, and that's not a criticism of our supporters, it's just a fact of life. In any hands, if a football club's not going well, crowds can drop off so quickly that you always have to budget cautiously for the match day, particularly the match day walk-ups. The season ticket money that you bring in at the start of the season, you have to spread that across the 10 months of the season, because if you blow all that in the first month or the first 6 weeks, even with the best of intentions, how you pay, and then things don't go well, you're knackered, to be blunt, as you move into the new year. So if we could become a club that knew that whatever happened, our attendances would be, as I say, 2,200, 2,250 at all times. When we're then budgeting as a board, we would have a great chance of being able to consider where we were. But obviously we haven't been that club, probably in reality, for quite some time. Last year was obviously fantastic the way it ended up being, but what was our core be? 1,800, 1,850 maybe in reality, if things start to drift and not go quite so well. So you're probably 300 or 400 from where you probably would be. And that would maybe allow you to safely invest more money. You could safely invest more money then, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. If you know, right, whatever happens, we've got that level of income, then you can look at it from that point of view.
Just out of interest then, how many seats are being proposed for the new end?
I can't give you the detail on that because I get into trouble. But what we need to be aware of is that if we did redevelop the Meadow End at some point further down the line in the future, we've got to be able to accommodate Meadow Enders in the rest of the ground. So we can't have an end that is small, so small that we're having to lock people out. So we know what we're thinking in terms of the numbers we need. We'll be realistic about it because it's not our development, but we will be looking to protect ourselves for the day when the Meadow End might redevelopment, and we have to then spread those people in the other 3 sides of the ground at that point in time. And architects that we've here and have spoken to, some are experienced football stadium design architects, which is really good as well because they know what's required in the Green Guide and all the legislation to make sure that it's fit for purpose. We'd have to go down the route of talking about, well, do we get a terrace? Do we get seats? Do we get safe standing as you can have nowadays? All these things would be part of the detail of the conversation as we move forward as well. Obviously, if you have seats, you can accommodate less people, so it's all part of that debate, really. It's really interesting, really exciting, actually, I have to say.
Just playing devil's advocate with you a bit. Obviously, if you got promoted, then would the shortfall not be made up with increased away fans? You could easily get 200-300 away fans per week in the conference.
Yeah, but I don't think if you look at, you might get that from, if I'm just going to say 50% of the clubs, but there are also quite a number of clubs in there that aren't particularly well supported. And what you can't bank, and again, and without talking about the past, it's difficult to speculate, isn't it? Whereas on away supporters, but you can hopefully have more of a guarantee from what you're getting as home supporters. The away support will actually give you the added bonus, if you like, but it's more about what you know your regular baseline is going to be on your own side, because you can't, you know, teams going up. Boston brought a couple of hundred here, didn't they, on the last day of the season when they had loads to play for. Solihull Moors, with the greatest respect, have never travelled in any great numbers. Yes, you have got the bigger clubs, but I do think probably 50% of them, you were going to be lucky to get 200 of them, I think. You know, the Dawkins of this world, Dorking went down, didn't they, in the end? But the Dawkins, they're not going to bring huge numbers here. So it is difficult, because you do have clubs at that level who feel a bit unnatural at that level, don't you? And aren't going to have big travelling support. So I would always focus any sort of calculations on home support, because that's what you can hopefully bank on.
Paul, are you enjoying management? And what have you learned from last season that you take into this season as a manager?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. My face might not say it right now, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's got its challenges, absolutely it has. It's got its frustrations, it's got its good things, it's got its bad things, but I'm sure every person that works would say the same thing. There's good pros and cons to every job. What have I learned? Probably try to think on the pitch, but as I said, maybe it's trying to find ways to still be as attacking, but to try and keep more clean sheets, try and score more goals. We're learning every day. As I said, we're learning every day. We're trying to get the best we possibly can from what we've got available. So it's tough. It genuinely is. But I've never been brought up with a golden spoon in my mouth, put it that way. I've always had to work hard anyway, so it's no different to me. So, but yeah, as much as my face doesn't say it sometimes, and sometimes when I'm speaking to Keith after games, my face doesn't say it either. But I'm still enjoying it.
Stu.
I know there are issues in I know there's issues involved with the new floodlights, but when can we realistically expect to see the new pylons going up?
We're hopeful that it should be within the next 3 or 4 months, and I'm trying to just, but to be fair, I know Bulls News have put those stories on, but I think that they're just asking the questions that they should ask in reality. To me, it seems madness that they're asking, that you're looking to put up much smaller pylons with much better lights, much more environmentally friendly lights, but you're getting asked a load of questions about it. We've been asked about flood risk. But it's all part of a planning process, sadly, and you can talk about it, because actually I'm sure the council have had to do all the same documentation to knock it down as that we're then having to fill out for the planning application. But Darren, bless him, he's been working his proverbials off to answer the many questions that have been coming back. Highways have obviously asked about how this is going to cause a disruption to the A49, and Darren's had to go back and say, well, no, they're just going to be bringing it in, and they'll be built in the Blackfriars end and then put up. So there shouldn't be too much beyond the planning process and then the delivery of the floodlights and erection of the floodlights, holding it up. So we would like to think we should have them within the next, I'm going to put pressure, I was going to say 2 weeks, Darren, but you'll probably shoot me for that. No, how long, is that, have I been fair, Darren, there? Is that fair enough, do you think? End of August, Darren is saying there, so let's give him a little bit longer than that. But so yeah, so they are very, very close. We're through the process of the application and the grants and that sort of stuff, which has been brilliant. Football Foundation have been fantastic. So yeah, it should be really, really good. And the floodlights, where they'll be located, and you obviously will have been to places like Curzon, where they're literally right in the corners of the ground. They won't have any impact then on what happens and what's happening on the Blackfriars end. We've been specifically asked about our plan for the new floodlights, so that the developers and the architects can take that into account when they're putting some design concepts together. Design concepts get me.
Apart from ourselves,
apart from ourselves, who does Paul think will be the main contenders for next season?
Well, obviously you've got the full-time teams. If I'm a manager of a full-time club, I expect to go and win the league. You've got an advantage straight away. You're seeing your players every single day. You've got more detail with them. You've got more time with them. So full-time clubs will definitely have an advantage. You've still got Scunny up there. I know it's been well documented that when you hear that people have cut their budget or whatever it may be, you need to remember where it started. So if you're cutting a budget really, really high and you're maybe cutting it by 20%, you're still really, really high. So to give Scunny should be up there. Brackley will be up there because Brackley are spending money like a full-time club. So they've always had opportunities to go full-time, but they believe in getting the best part-time players on the best money. So they will be up there. You'd imagine Chester over there or thereabouts. You find teams like Alfreton always find a way. But yeah, obviously the full-time clubs you expect to be competing, but we'll do our utmost. We genuinely will. We tried to hang in there as long as we possibly could last year, and we got to the last game of the season, albeit with a freak scoreline, but we were still there. And remember, I've just mentioned, Keith, I said after every game, we're still there, we're still hanging in there, and we'll do that. We'll try and finish as high as we possibly can. That's genuinely the truth. I told you, I think it was the very first fans forum I done. I'll never tell you we're going to win the league because you can't. Nobody can predict that. We will go to try and win the league. I believe every club in every league should go and try and win the league. Whether it's possible or not is a different thing. But have that ambition. What's the point of? Yeah, let's try and finish mid-table. Why not go and try and win the league and then finish second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, whatever it may be. So we'll go out with the intention to go and try and win football matches.
Just from a personal point of view, I found it quite interesting that 2-3 weeks ago there was some quite direct messaging coming out of Chester around some of the issues that they're finding competing for players. Obviously they're a fan-owned club as well, and I think there are quite a lot of similarities between ourselves and Chester in terms of trying to compete in the market. Now I'm sure there's a lot of sort of smoke and mirrors around budgets and that sort of things, but I think they are finding the same issues when they're competing for players that we have, and it's why things like the squad builder and the boost of the budget are so important for clubs like ourselves and Chester, because we have got to be responsible around the future of our club. Chester went through the same pain that we went through with Hereford United. They lost their club, so they've cut their cloth accordingly. And on behalf of both Paul and myself, it is a massive thank you for everybody's efforts with Squad Builder this year. Clearly, we had the great offer from the founding shareholders to match fund, and it does make a big difference. And the thing about the Squad Builder, I think, and Paul and I were talking about this earlier, is actually that's money that comes in extra, if you like, but it actually comes in during this part of the season, which is really, really important. Because as the season goes on and as a board we can see how the season is going, then you can start to make decisions on what you can do in terms of possible investment. But at this point in the season, we've got to be really sensible and really careful. So the more money that comes in through something like Squad Builder or the membership scheme, that is money, as we've always said, that just goes directly to help the playing budget. So without sounding like I'm getting the begging bowl, I'm genuinely not, because of it. The more that comes in for that and the more support we get helps during this part of the season when Paul's trying to build his squad and put his squad together. So for me, it's a massive thank you for the support that we've had through season ticket sales have been brilliant, and Squad Builder. And I would just say, if people are able to help, continue to do so, because at this time of year particularly, it just makes a massive difference as we're looking to try and, we obviously want to start the season as strongly as we possibly can, and that's what makes the difference to that. When you look at what Chester fans have done and our fans have done, I tend to ignore the Darlington side of things because the figures always seem really, really high, but certainly when you look at Chester, I sort of think that's where we are. So once again, thank you for your help, and if you can offer any more help, then that's just fantastic.
A question for the both of you. What's a fixture, other than the festive ones, what do you look forward to next season?
Probably for me, the kiddie one, obviously, there's a local derby there, so Kiddie. If I'm being selfish, I quite like the northern ones because it's quite close to my house. So, but no, Kiddie would be one because it's a local derby. So I believe there's always quite a bit of atmosphere at those games. So I would say that one in particular.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I can definitely tell you the games I don't look forward to. And it wouldn't surprise the people in the room, the ones you're coming along to the game thinking, I'm really looking forward to this, is going to be a cracker. They would be great if you would guarantee you were going to beat them, because then that would be just the best day. But I'm the same. I think Kiddie's obviously the first one that we'll look for. We know when they're likely to be, but seeing those will be important. I like playing the new teams. I enjoyed Rushall last year. I know we've been there watching for the Continental Star game in that first season. I think I enjoyed going to Rushall on that Tuesday night. I like going to the new grounds, but I think you can't get away from the Kiddie fixture. I think is the one that everybody will be looking at. So yeah, that'd be interesting. And I'll actually, to be fair, I like the games against Chester because they always tend to be good football matches, and you kind of turn up and think actually this will probably come down to the best football team winning, and that's kind of how I like it.
You mentioned about teams like...
Paul, are you working tonight, Paul? You've got to be careful what you say.
No. I'm not at HD anymore. No, you mentioned about teams like Brackley and Alfreton probably being up there again next season. Obviously, they only have crowds of about 500. And like Chris and Ashton, I think the lowest supported team in the league, they made the playoffs last year. Is it all down to money, or is it about teams like that know the league?
They've got money as well. Everyone will look at crowds and stuff like that, and that's the good thing about us. That's what I try and sell to players, but it's not entirely down to money. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it is. Like, another thing, like Tamworth went up, but it's well known within the game. Tamworth are well backed as well. Money definitely helps, but will it bring you? It doesn't guarantee you success. It probably guarantees you better players, therefore you've got a better opportunity of winning more football matches. But no, I don't think it guarantees you success, but it's definitely a help. There's no point is polishing it up the wrong way and saying we could do things with less money, because you simply can't. That's what you pay is what you get.
I think we'll probably take a couple more questions if there are a couple more, and then we've got one down the front. George, we'll take this one. He's quite close to us anyway.
Will we be looking to go into the loan market?
At the moment, probably not right now, because we want to try and secure players, because the worry we always have with getting loan players now is the parent club picks up 2 or 3 injuries and they just take them back, and then I'm left chasing my tail again. So we'll try and get players that are ours first and foremost, but the loan market is something we'll definitely look at. We had a lot of success with Jindal Keke, who I thought was ridiculously good, to be honest. And I've got to say, Stockport looked after us, because within about 3 games when they played against with us, they had 4 or 5 National League teams that wanted to take him, and they decided to keep him where he was because he'd been looked after and he was playing and stuff like that. So we've got a good relationship with a lot of clubs, but the loan market's something we'll probably look at further down the line.
Is the reality that with loan players, there's still a lot of players who go back to their parents' clubs at this stage as well and think they're going to have a chance of getting in, so some loan players might not even know they're available till August time?
Yeah, and in football it just filters. So the Premier League will take all their best under 21s, 23s, whatever it is, on tour. They'll keep them until the end of August. The Championship clubs will then go and try and get them, so won't let their players out. Once they get them, the League One clubs will go and try and get the Championship players, and it just works its way down. So everyone tries to keep their players for as long as possible. So it's a difficult time, it definitely is, because a lot of clubs will say, well, we want to keep him throughout pre-season, we'll get a look at him, he might have vastly improved, and he might have an opportunity at our parent club.
Have we got one final question from anybody before we wrap up? We've got the draw to do as well, I think. Are we ready to go, Jane, for the draw? Are we okay? Is there a question? Excellent. If there's no further questions, I'm just going to say, before we do the draw, just a massive thank you to Paul for giving up his time tonight. As he said, everybody's more than welcome for the... We were both due to take part in the session tomorrow, but slight hamstring strain for both of us, so we're not bothering.
I'm doing it. But I'm doing the time now.
Excellent, excellent.
I'm doing the stopwatch.
But yes, thanks everybody. Thanks ever so much for coming, everybody. It's been a really good evening. Great to see so many of you. I think there's a level of excitement and anticipation this year that is really, really good to see. Obviously, that brings it with it an expectation, so no pressure. But it is really good to see everybody so sort of invigorated and so looking forward to it. So before we finish, I think we're just going to do the draw. Jay, are we ready to go?
It's all down there.
It's all down there. First prize is going to be that Hereford FC shirt, which will be personally signed and messaged by Paul for the lucky winner. So go on, you do it. You can do it.
564.
564. There we go. You want to come up afterwards, and you come up and you can get that signed, and you can give your name and everything, and Paul will sign that for you. And then we've got a football as the second prize, and Paul will do the same with that as well.
602.
602. Brilliant. Just down here. Thank you ever so much. That's great. That's great. Thank you ever so much, everybody. If you two want to come up and you can get a message put on your prize and everything. Once again, thanks everybody, and don't see you tomorrow. See you soon.